It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Thursday Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast on this, the 12th day of September, 2024, brought to you by Chillie's Cruises, and Will U.S., owner of Scootaround. This is another really busy show this morning, folks, and I've got to talk about a technical issue, but it's not my technical issue for once. We'll get to that in a minute. Bringing you up to date a little bit on a couple things. Number one, I've gotten a number of more birthday greetings, belated, and that's okay. So I hadn't officially thanked all of you guys that have sent stuff the last couple of days. I certainly appreciate it. And I have to be perfectly honest with you, folks. It was really neat for me this time, not only on the number of you that took time to send me a birthday greeting, which was just astonishing, but I had greetings from every continent except Antarctica, which was just awesome. For some reason, I had not gotten one from Asia, and I got one from Asia yesterday, which brought it up. So I had, Australia, of course, a bunch from Europe, two from Africa. I did get one in from Asia. And then we have, of course, South America, Central America, Mexico, a bunch from Canada, and of course, hundreds in the United States. So for all that, I appreciate it. I haven't given you an update on my sister for a couple days. She is now, yesterday was the second day. She's gotten up, and she has to have help getting up, and she has to be pushed around. She cannot use her walker yet. So she gets, with help, she gets up and sits on the walker. It's a rollator, small rollator to fit her little body. I couldn't sit on hers, but and then she gets pushed, but she can sit at the table and have meals with us. So, yesterday and the day before yesterday and yesterday, she sat at the table with us. Her hand looks awful. I mean, she's in a sling and a soft cast, but where her, the bottom of her hand and her fingers stick out, they're like black. And we even had the nurse come in yesterday to see if it was wrapped too tight, and they rewrapped it, and it still looks terrible. That's just bruising from the break and the manipulation that they had to do to get things straightened again, I guess. But anyway, she's still on minor pain meds, not the hard stuff that she had when she first came home. But yeah, she's doing better. She's definitely on the mend. We did our little game night again last night. We sit for an hour, the four of us with Amanda, in the living room and do trivia type games, crossword puzzle type games that we all participate in. And that's just become kind of a nightly ritual. She sat up with us last night while we did that. And then after that was done, after we did one puzzle, she went back to bed. So that's, she's on the mend. That's a good thing. As far as my health goes, I'm feeling really good today. I had a kind of a semi-good day yesterday, more coughing than I want, but I was able to sleep decently last night, although I coughed some. Not as much as before, the day before. So far this morning, I don't think I've coughed at all, or if I have, it was just very light and not noticeable. So that's a good thing, and that includes getting all the production done for today's show, which again is very busy. So that's a good sign. But now keep in mind, 3 days ago, when I had a really good day like this, everything went to hell in the afternoon. So I'm not counting on things being a whole bunch better yet. let's get through today and tomorrow before I start thinking, wow, maybe we're finally over this mess. This has been one of the worst things I've had with all my health issues. This has been a tough one for me. All right, so the lead story this morning, folks, and quite frankly, and I said this on the tape, I did not want to make this the lead story today. But the lead story is Hurricane Francine and the weather. And there's reasons why that's the lead story. Of course, it's no longer Hurricane Francine. So you'd think that I could lower that down some. Well, I'll explain why it got promoted back to the lead story. What I wanted to make the lead story today is Via V asked guests to cover their own expenses. What? And we're going to talk about that some. Also today, 20 passport stamps on one cruise. And I ask a question in there, do you guys do that? Get passport stamped at every different port? I don't. I've never done that because I don't want to stand in line. But please, if you do, share that in the chat room. Carnival Vista repairs. Oh, boy, we've talked about that about 100 times. Prima dumps Bermuda. Not what you've been hearing about, folks. Luminara floated out. Oman offers free visa. Shore power in San Diego and another crew member arrested. That and lots more here at 11 o'clock this morning on Thursday Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. Today is National Chocolate Milkshake Day. That's right up Hot Air Tom's alley. If I'm going to have a milkshake, which I maybe have 2 a year, I drink less milkshakes in a year's time than I drink beer, which is, I can count that on one hand usually. But anyway, today's National Chocolate Milkshake Day. I don't know if we've got chocolate in there because I'm the only one that eats it. But I might try to make a milkshake today. That would be pretty cool. And no, I'm not answering the phone. If you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the podcast. Blah, blah. Let's get the tongue working right. The podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. Anytime you're listening to a podcast, on whatever network it's on, if you want to jump over to the video feed, all you have to do is go to the description of the podcast, and there's a link so you can jump to the video feed in case you want to check out interviews or clips or pictures like I'm going to use here shortly, which is going to lead us up eventually to the technical issue. There's a cough. Get a little sip of diet, see if that takes care of it. All right, so what I'm going to do, folks, is start from our friend Lob Slevin, and I'll tell you, for the technical reason that's coming up, I did not get near as much done as I wanted to do with this today. But this is Rob Slevin. He's from Louisville. This was when he was in Cozumel. I love the shirt. This was when he was in Georgetown at Grand Cayman. I love the shirt. Now, he was in Bimini, and they got high-winded out and didn't get to land in Bimini. So he wore the shirt on board, but he has no idea if anybody would understand that what he's wearing is Monty Python and the Holy Grail shirt. Now, then he went to upstairs and had the Seafood Tower. Okay, now this is on Celebrity Reflection. Had the Seafood Tower and a fettuccine with mussels. That looks good. I love fettuccine. I love mussels. And then he went to a wine extravaganza, and he said, I need a nap now. So, all right. Thanks, Rob, for posting that. And I'm sorry I didn't keep up with you every day. It's been crazy. All right. So, and all the other folks out there, like Rochelle and several of you that have posted stuff. I'll get caught up eventually. I was trying to catch up Hot Air Tom, and I'll explain the issues we have and when I get through it here. These are all pictures. No, I got to go down here to the other end. This is where he got off in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. This is the port building. And that's the Norwegian gym. Welcome to Charlottetown. And this is on his way. That's the Charlottetown statue there for folks coming in. And there's a ton of churches in Charlottetown. I was really surprised at that, but there's got to be, he's got pictures of 20 churches, I bet. And this was on his way out to the House of Green Gables. Now, I have to tell you, folks, I was incorrect about the House of Green Gables. I thought this was an Anne Frank museum. It's not. The House of Green Gables was a series of movies made for television. It started in Canada and was first aired at first. The theatrical production of it went to Europe, Iran, and Japan. It's about an orphan named Anne Shirley that happened all in Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Islands. It was written by Lucy Maud Montgomery, and she actually lived, and this is where that all came from. I was totally wrong about it being Anne Frank. That, of course, was the blind orphan in Europe during World War II. Similar time frame, different person altogether. Oh, there's another church. Oh, I'm going backwards. That's why. So, oh yeah, that's the visitor center for the House of Green Gables, and that's the actual house itself. And one of the things that I was impressed with, and folks, it took me about 45 minutes to go through the pictures just from this excursion. Hot Air Tom had to send me 100 pictures. I was super impressed. Of course, I like antique furniture, but the furniture inside this house was just unbelievable. And I was drooling over it, but I couldn't I couldn't show all of them because I can only take so many pictures. So, I did that. I didn't post anything on the grounds. The grounds were stunning. Perfect time of year. There was so much of the fall foliage, fall blooming. It was just gorgeous. Definitely a place that I'm going to want to go. So, that's what brings me up to the problem. So, Hot Air Tom, if you're watching or when you watch this, first, before I do that, no, I won't. I have two clips that I'm going to play as well. One of them is from the House of Green Gables day, and the other one is from today. And Hot Air Tom, on the method that you send stuff to me, if I play today's clip and then I air it to the next thing, it's the clip from the House of Green Gables, and then it takes me all the way back to the House of Green Gables. Everything between the House of Green Gables and the clip from this morning is gone. I checked on Emily's page because I know you've posted a ton of pictures there too. Everything is gone. I mean, from every day on the cruise, other than the day in Charlottetown. The last thing other than the video clip is the sunset pictures on that day in Charlottetown. I don't know how or why I didn't do it, because I hadn't touched them until this morning, other than glancing through them when you sent them to me. So I know there's just a ton of stuff that's disappeared, and I have no idea why. So if you can figure out and send them through together, and you send them to Emily differently than you send them to me, and I don't mind the way you send them to Emily. I can air it through those and download the ones I want to keep, or I want to use. Just actually easier than however you send them through to me. So either way. But that's the technical issues from today. Now, onto the two clips. If I can find them. There we go. This was back on the gym on the day in Charlottetown. Tugboat getting in position, I assume. Okay, Tom, move the camera. There you go. Good job, Tom.
So they've removed two of the ropes already from those far two mooring stations. I guess they're waiting for word from the ship that before they proceed with this next one. And then we have a really long one that comes underneath our room here. All the way back to the dock there. The two gag planks have been removed, and the crane you see there is what lifts them up to the ship. Oops, and when we were looking the other way, the little boat got up and disconnected the last rope that direction. Quickly, it's all gone.
All right, that was from getting ready for the Jim to sail away from Charlottetown, and this is this morning because he's in the St. Lawrence Seaway.
This video is being taken from the men's sauna, which overlooks the bridge. And we're looking out the front of the ship. We are in the St. Lawrence River. The nice slow 10 knots speed which is what we've been basically traveling at since we left Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island.
All right, that's the St. Lawrence Seaway where it's still really wide. Now it's going to get a whole lot narrower as they go along. So thanks out there, Tom, and hopefully we can figure out what happened to all the rest of the stuff that you sent. I was so disappointed. I wasn't sure how much total I could load because there's limits to how much the system will hold. So that's why I cut down Green Gables to, a manageable amount. But all right, so we'll get on with the today's news after a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. I really had not wanted to make weather the lead story today, but when I saw how the complex weather systems in the Atlantic Basin are tied together, I thought that kind of promoted it back up to the top story. Carnival Cruise Line is closely monitoring Hurricane Francine, now Tropical Storm Francine, which has disrupted marine operations in the Gulf of Mexico. The Carnival Valor, which embarked on a 5-night Western Caribbean cruise on September 7th, may face delays returning to its home port. Guests on board the Carnival Valor were informed of potential itinerary changes before departing, and the cruise line emphasized safety as its top priority. We're following the guidance of the National Hurricane Center, U.S. Coast Guard, and port authorities. Carnival has encouraged passengers scheduled for the ship's next 4-day cruise to Cozumel, departing today, actually, to stay updated through emails and text alerts. Carnival Liberty, another ship homeported in New Orleans, remains unaffected by Hurricane Francine and will not return until September 15th. Hurricane Francine is expected to cause minor delays in port operations across the Gulf. The neighboring port of Galveston has Royal Caribbean's Mariner of the Seas, which came in this morning. Specifically in the weather, Francine weakens to a tropical depression over south central Mississippi. Heavy rainfall spreading across Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle. Currently, it's located about 30 miles south of Jackson, Mississippi, the center of the storm. Maximum sustained winds has dropped to 35 miles an hour. It's moving north-northeast at 12. Central pressure has risen to 996. It hit a low of 970 yesterday. There's still a storm surge warning out in effect for the mouth of Pearl River to the Mississippi-Alabama border, Lake Maripa, and Lake Pontchartrain. A turn toward the north is expected with some decrease in forward speed. Now, when we say decrease in forward speed, and kind of the interesting thing about the weather, there's a big system of high pressure located off the coast of Virginia and North Carolina in the Atlantic that is actually strong enough that it's going to slow this system down. Normally, when hurricanes come inland, they start speeding up and fly to get away from where they landed. This is going to start slowing down and take longer time, which means it's going to continue to pull lots of moisture on the right side of the storm, which is going to affect Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle. The center of Francine will move over central and northern portions of Mississippi through early Friday. Maximum sustained winds have decreased to 35 with higher gusts. Continue weakening is forecast, expected to become a post-tropical cyclone during the day today. Now, if you look further in the system to 7, depression could become a tropical storm today. It's about 600 miles west of Cabo Verde Islands. It has maximum sustained winds of 35 miles an hour. Present movement is to the west-northwest at 17. Pressure is 1,007 and dropping. The depression is moving toward the west-northwest to west motion at a slower rate of speed is anticipated over the next few days. Okay, this system, 7, which will be a named storm probably later on today, is going to, the upper level atmosphere, it's going to run into the same high pressure system that's slowing down Francine getting the heck away from the, Louisiana area where it had landfall. So it's going to slow this system down coming across the trough, as I call it. Maximum sustained winds at 35 miles an hour with higher gusts. Gradual strengthening is forecast during the next 48 hours. Depression could become a tropical storm later today. That's, of course, when it gets its name. Got to watch this one. This clearly could develop into a hurricane. All right, the two other systems back to the west of that, a weak area of low pressure located 700 miles east of the leewards is producing limited shower and thunderstorm activity. Development of the system is not expected, while it moves westward around 10 miles an hour over the central tropical Atlantic. Virtually 0% chance of development. The other one is east of the Leeward Islands. Showers and thunderstorms have become a bit more concentrated in association with a small area of low pressure, a few hundred miles east of the leewards. However, the proximity of dry air near the system is expected to limit its development. Environmental conditions are expected to be less conducive over the weekend while the system moves slowly. Again, it's running into that big high pressure system, slowing it down. Formation 20% over 48 hours and 20% over the next 7 days. So that's the weather from the Atlantic, including what's left of Francine. In the Pacific, showers and thunderstorms associated with an area of low pressure located less than 200 miles southwest of Puerto Vallarta continue to become better organized. Environmental conditions appear conducive for additional development, and a tropical depression or tropical storm is expected to form later today or tonight. Interest in the Mexican states of Baja California Sur, Sinaloa, and Sonora should closely monitor the progress of the system. Tropical storm warnings and watches will likely be required for some of these locations later today. Regardless of the development, heavy rainfall is likely across portions of these locations. Formation chance in the next 48 hours, high at 90%. Formation chance over the next 7 days, high at 90%. There's a good likelihood, folks, this will become a hurricane and affect all of the ports in the Mexican Riviera and up through Baja. The V&V residential cruise startup that was set to cruise in mid-May is quickly approaching the 4-month delay mark. In a letter sent to guests on Tuesday, the company said it has spent approximately $500,000 covering guest expenses during the delay, including hotels, excursions, and more. According to a recent video update posted by Midlife Cruising on YouTube, the company is now asking passengers to cover their own expenses for at least the next 7 days. The company had covered guest experience expenses since May, when the ship was originally scheduled to sail from Southampton, but was subsequently delayed. The original cruise date was mid-May, with many passengers arriving in the UK to board the 31-year-old former Fred Olsen ship. That departure was first pushed back because of a crack in a tank and moved to Belfast, where the ship was refurbished at Harland and Wolff. Guests were accommodated in Belfast and put up in hotels Some were flown to a resort in Spain. Over the summer, they were allowed to move into their cabins aboard the ship, but could not sleep there as the company provided transportation to and from the ship, 3 meals daily, and entertainment aboard. Numerous problems and challenges have arisen since the original May date, and the departure date has been pushed back. In June, the company said that the ship was going through the last stages of certification and would sail soon. Issues included problems with rudder stocks missing previous maintenance logs, the necessity to reclassify and recertify the ship, and the need to perform sea trials. The same video update also reported that the recent sea trials were not as great as expected. Sounds to me like this company may be in serious financial difficulty. Royal Caribbean's longest cruise ever, a 274-night around-the-world voyage on Serenade of the Seas, recently concluded. The cruise line called it the ultimate world cruise. Cruisers collected over 20 passport stamps each on average, with the first being from Brazil. Some guests only sail on certain segments of the cruise, but the average number from all passengers was over 20 stamps each. That's one way to help fill up a passport. I've never done that. Have you guys? Drop it in the comments if you collect passport stamps. The cruise lasted for 274 days. That's 6,576 hours, or 394,560 minutes. The cruise ship traveled 75,015 miles, visiting 65 countries, and visited over 150 destinations. This included over 50 first-time port visits for Royal Caribbean. 5,877 birthdays were celebrated on board, and the spa gave 1,174 haircuts during the 274-night cruise. Just a few facts from Serenade of the Seas.
We have the equipment you need to stay mobile. Whether you need a wheelchair, scooter, power chair, rollator, oxygen, or other pieces of mobility equipment, Scootaround, powered by Will, can help. Once you've booked your rental, we can deliver it to wherever you need. For your mobility needs, contact me or call Scootaround at 888-441-7575. Use SRN 11137 for the best rates.
With Carnival Vista out of service for propulsion-related repairs, guests booked on our next voyage are understandably concerned about whether or not their cruise will sail as planned. In fact, hundreds of guests have asked Carnival Cruise Line and brand ambassador John Heald about the upcoming cruise planned to depart from Port Canaveral on Sunday. That's the September 15th. Our engineers are now hard at work to resolve the issue that is limiting Carnival Vista's cruising speed. The team is making good progress with the work, and I have no reason to think that the ship will not be back in service for its September 15th voyage. While this is not necessarily a firm confirmation that the ship will sail as planned, all is looking good for the repairs to be complete and Carnival Vista to enjoy her planned 6-night Eastern Caribbean cruise. The repair work to Carnival Vista is being completed at Port Canaveral, and the ship is visible on the port's live webcam as it pans across the full port area. The ship is docked at Cruise Terminal 6 at the north end of the port in the West Turning Basin as the work is underway. For those dreaming of a holiday season on the high seas, Norwegian Cruise Line has unwrapped an early surprise by adjusting Norwegian Prima's December 11th itinerary. The cruise line cited a need to remain more fuel efficient and to stay in line with its sustainability measures. NCL wrote in an email to passengers and travel agents as we continue to optimize itineraries for fuel efficiency as a part of our commitment to the environment and sustainability efforts. We have adjusted this itinerary. It also said we are committed to providing the best vacations at sea and have been working tirelessly to continue elevating the quality of the overall guest experience while positively impacting society and the environment. Originally slated to dock at Royal Naval Dockyard in Bermuda on December 14th, Norwegian Prima will now bypass the storied port in favor of extended stays in Puerto Plata and Tortola. However, they're also losing some time in San Juan. NCL is hoping the updated schedule gives guests more time to bask under the Caribbean sun. There were tons of rumors and speculation when this came out that Norwegian Cruise Line is dumping Bermuda altogether. Folks, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is one cruise that Norwegian has canceled Bermuda. It's not all the cruises scheduled to go to Bermuda by Norwegian Cruise Line. There may be more than this, but at this point, we have one cruise that is canceling Bermuda. That's all. The Ritz-Carlton Yacht Collection has successfully floated out its third super yacht, Luminara, at the Chantier de l'Atlantique, France shipyard in Saint-Nazaire. The significant step marks Luminara's initial contact with water, signaling the commencement of the final construction phase ahead of a projected debut in July of 2025. Following the float out, the vessel was transferred to an outfitting dock where work will continue on the yacht's interiors, including completing guest services, dining venues, guest suites, and other public services. OMAN has introduced a new regulation offering a free 10-day visa, a visit visa, for passengers and crew aboard cruise ships docking in the country, aiming to boost tourism. Cruise ship agents can request the visa, which must be used within 30 days of issuance. In addition to the complimentary 10-day visa, a 1-month visa option is also available under similar terms. The Port of San Diego is enhancing its environmental sustainability efforts by adding a new shore power outlet for vessels connecting to the electrical grid while at berth. According to a statement, the Board of Port Commissioners awarded Universal Wiring Corporation a $463,500 construction contract on September the 10th to install the outlet. This upgrade will help improve air quality and reduce greenhouse gas emissions around San Diego Bay by enabling more cruise ships to use shore power instead of diesel engines. Construction is set to begin in October and is expected to be completed by early 2025. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police arrested a cruise ship crew member for possession and importation of child pornography in Frobisher Bay near Iqaluit, the capital of Nunavut, Canada. The crew member, identified as Akshay Samaru, a 31-year-old from Mauritius, was detained on September the 1st. According to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the arrest occurred when officers boarded the cruise ship as part of routine customs inspection, assisting the Canadian Border Services Agency and Fisheries and Oceans Canada. During the inspection, CBSA officers searched Samaru and found materials that led to his arrest for possession of child pornography. He now faces charges of both possession and importation of child pornography. The crew member appeared in court before Justice of the Peace Nikoi Sikma and remains in custody. Wow, we've had a lot of these in Miami. I was wondering when some other ports would get involved, but I was not expecting it to come from Canada. Awesome. All right, let me point out a couple things as a follow-up to that story. I did some checking after I taped that story this morning. This is not the first time Canadian border folks have crossed this problem. There have been several arrests, not as many as Miami, but several arrests on the whole child pornography thing. They're not being totally transparent because if they're checking customs, you guys have all been on cruise ships where they check customs to let you into a port. They don't go investigate every crew member and every guest on board. There wouldn't be time for that. So for them to go specifically pick this individual out, they have to have some prior knowledge, some prior idea that he is guilty and is arrestable. So I'm not sure how they're doing it, but I mean, goodness gracious, they're doing a lot of cleaning up of this mess. So, and I'm all in favor of that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making any excuses. I think the law enforcement folks are doing a terrific job. I'm surprised that there are not other ports involved with the same kind of investigation. I think we'll see that eventually. All right. That's going to wrap up the news portion of today. Let's jump over to the chat room and see who's here. Yes, as you can tell, I still have some congestion, which sometimes just creeps up into my throat. Sometimes I cough it up too, which of course I'm trying to get rid of that. But as I said earlier, man, this has been a tough one for me. All right, so over in the chat room, Mike's with us from the other side of the pond. There's Robin. She's probably wondering, where's Ken? Where's Ken? They're somewhere in the St. Lawrence Seaway today, and they go into Quebec tomorrow. Then they got to go through one of the problems with doing back-to-backs, folks. And there's got to be a better way. But the last time I did a back-to-back on a Royal Caribbean, they get all the people that are staying on board for the second cruise in a meeting room, and they all have to be there. If there's 50 people, all 50 have to be there before they can start this. So somebody that just loafs along and doesn't want to do this, and that doesn't work because you're screwing everybody. So get on down there and get it done, because what they're going to do is they're going to march you off the ship. You got to go through Canadian, in this case, Canadian customs. And then you've got to come back on the ship and go through our customs, TSA, and all that business. And then when everybody's done with all that on both sides, and you get the 50 people back together, then everybody can get back on board. It is, to me, it's ridiculous. Why not take the photo recognition stuff up there and do both borders at the same time? They use the same equipment. Tie the two together so you can get checked in and checked out and checked back in without all the marching off the ship, going all the way up and down the ramps and all that extra walking for especially folks that have disability issues. And it's not bad for me. I'm in a chair, or I was on a scooter before. So I can just ride along and, tell people and see how easy it is for me. Why are you guys sweating? So, but anyway, it's not as pleasant as you'd think. Gretchen's with us, says good morning to everybody. Gary Older Than Dirt's here. Hey, Gary. Katie's with us. Good morning, Katie. Joanne's here from Symphony of the Seas. I love Symphony of the Seas. That was my one ship one cruise ship that I have been in a suite. And I was on a suite on Symphony of the Seas. Never been on a suite before, but that one I was. In Nassau today, here with the JJ Cruise Group. Oh, God. Go, please, Joanne, if you can get a hold of either of the two characters, give them a big hug for me. I love those guys to death. I haven't talked to them for a while. So, but please tell them that Chillie said, hey. Gretchen says, that's exciting, Joanne. Emily says, hello to Chillie and the gang. Hey, Em. And Em, I do have your information. I have not had time to input everything and see what else I got to have. I'll hopefully get that done today. And then I can get back with you whenever you want me to. I did not know Anne of Green Gables started in Canada. I learned something new. Yeah, I was totally wrong about that. How I got that mixed up with Anne Frank Museum, I have no idea, but I sure did. So at least I checked it out before I put my foot in my mouth again today, showing the pictures. Todd's with us. Says, good morning, everyone. NCL just extending Pride of America dry dock into June 2025. Canceled my Hawaii cruise. Oh, well, no, that sucks. I did not know that. I wonder if that's come up on my feed from Norwegian. Let me go check that real quick. Today, certified travel. No. Unless it's come in on email this morning. I'm checking that real quick too. To see if I have gotten notification on that. And no, I do not see nothing from Norwegian. So that's there's some breaking news for you folks. That I had not gotten any information on yet, Todd. I mean, by tomorrow morning, I'm sure I will. So that'll be one of the stories tomorrow. But thank you for sharing that. I always like to have some breaking news for you guys. That's awesome. And I'm sorry they canceled your cruise. That part of it sucks. There's Sunny down Mississippi. Sunny, how's your weather? The Gretchen said, Sunny, how's your weather? Yeah, so we're thinking about the same thing. Sunny's in Mississippi, and that's where, Francine is kind of stalled now, and it's going very slowly up. But where she's going up, all that water from the Gulf is coming over and dumping on the panhandle of Florida and Alabama and Mississippi. Sunny is more toward the east central part of the state. Well, let's see what she says. I quit guessing. Getting a little rain and a little wind. Not too bad right now. Okay. Unfortunately, Sunny, I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets a lot better. Indian summer here in Ohio. Not bad now. It'll be 85 later today. We're only getting in the 70s here in Virginia. Nice cooler weather, though. Very nice. It's pretty, though. We haven't started getting pretty here yet. It's just kind of yuck right now. There's Steve out in Kentucky. Says good morning to me and to everyone. Todd, there's another YouTuber who has several online shows. He is going to Hawaii. I can ask him for the dates if you like. He's doing a packing video. I can ask him the date. He's going on Carnival. Yeah, some people don't like to go on Carnival. That's the problem. And the Carnival doesn't do the Hawaiian Island cruise. That's a cruise that goes to multiple islands, and they might have a couple island stops, but it's not like Pride of America. Pride of America is totally unique. It's the only U.S.-based cruise ship in the world and they do nothing but sail the Hawaiian Islands. I had no idea about them extending the dry dock. That's I hope they give some reasons why. I mean, that's an older ship, so maybe they're making some major changes. I don't know. Todd says, let him know, M, that'd be good. Still in the 90s here with thunderstorms every afternoon and evening, Katie says, from down there in Florida. Gretchen says, we got to get down there soon. It depends on the grandkids' school and sports schedule. Those afternoon rain showers are killers. We couldn't see to drive. It rained so heavy. Emily says, have a little visitor here right now. Thank you, sir, for all the pics and videos in the chat group. Oh, for Hot Air Tom. She thanks me. She'll get back to me this weekend. Yeah. Good to know about Pride of America. All right, guys. That's going to wrap me up for today. I hope Hot Air Tom watches this and I'll send him a message directly now. So hopefully he can resend it, because that's all the stuff from Sydney, and there was a couple ports. Maybe it was the other half of Charlottetown. I don't remember now. But I got to get him to resend that, so I've got more stuff for you tomorrow. All right, that's going to wrap me up for today. Oh, Emily says he just sent all the pics. Okay, good. Thank you, Em. I do appreciate that. All right, that's going to wrap it up today, folks. Please smash that thumbs up button. Got a good crowd today. Over 100 people from X. That's awesome. 111 people from X. That's a nice group from X. Appreciate all of you guys. Don't forget, guys, if you're watching on X, you can send a comment. And I get it, even though the chat room doesn't get it. But when I get it, I will put it up. And if there are other people in the chat room that can add to it, or if you want to really become an active part of the chat room like all the regulars are, and you're on X, just go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. And you can watch us that way as well. But anyway, it works out a lot better when you're a part of the thing. Because one of the strengths of my show has always been the chat room and the regulars that are there. They keep conversations going constantly. Of course, I claim all the time that they're only there for each other. They're not there to check on the news. They pay no attention to me. They talk back and forth among each other, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. Anyway, you're always welcome here, folks on X. Appreciate you. All right, that's going to wrap it up, guys. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you back here for Friday's show.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry, so if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.